Hey coaches, in this video we're going to learn a little bit more about leadership at the junior FLL level. Leadership is just one of the strands of FIRST that requires special attention. In addition to leadership is management, design, fabrication, programming, research, prototyping, and presenting. At the junior FLL level, the students can't really set long-term goals. They focus on medium-term and short-term goals. Medium-term goals would be goals for the specific season. Short-term goals would focus on day-to-day activities. They would build plans to achieve their goals, they would learn collaborative decision-making skills, and they would learn dispute resolution skills. The collaborative decision-making and dispute resolution are vital for the students to learn how to work as a team to do something difficult. At the junior FLL level, for planning, the students should really work on taking their season with their coach and determining what their constraints are. How many times will they meet this season? How long will each session be? And what do they need to get accomplished? For their medium-term plan, it would make sense to then divide their goals up over the number of sessions that they have. This is an example for a 6-session team. Session 1, they could pick their problem. Session 2, they would research the problem they've selected. In Session 3, they would select a solution to their problem. In Session 4, they would build their solution. Session 5, they would make a presentation. And in Session 6, they would rehearse their presentation. One of the things you'll notice with this plan, which is very exciting for kids, is they can see, oh, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end to my project. No doubtedly, you'll recognize that things won't go this way. This is the initial plan, and for example, in Session 2, they might not finish their research. Or for example, in Session 3, when they select their solution, they might not know how to proceed with building it because they might need to order materials that might not be available. Regardless, they should write their plan down in paper, save it in a folder, and then they can refer to it at the beginning of each session. It doesn't matter if their plan works or if it doesn't work. What matters is they engage in the process so that they understand, oh, you have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And when we have deadlines and we don't make them, there are consequences. This is a deeply valuable lesson without any real negative consequences at this age, which is very exciting and helps prepare them for middle level or for high school when those deadlines have big meaning. The short-term plans are for a specific day, and these are the things that kids are most likely to really understand. Generally speaking, at this level, the kids could choose the sequence in which they do things, and they might also choose how to go about doing some of the things. For example, in Session 2, they might need to select a problem. So they might divide it up into 3 tasks: to make a pros and cons chart of each problem, to then present the pros and cons chart to their team, and then to vote on the problem. And this is where the decision making becomes so valuable. One of the great things for this group is to use majority rules. They all understand it, it's simple, but if their team has 6, they can have a tie. So then they could have a runoff. And then if there's still a tie, one of the things that makes decision making at this level really simple is they could just pick an idea out of a hat from the 2 that were tied. Just like with the medium-term plan, it's a great idea for them to write down their plans for a particular day and then to staple it to their medium-term plan. Obviously, things are going to change, but for the kids to see that you have a plan, and then you modify it, and then you come back to it and keep working, is deeply valuable. So as I alluded to earlier, decision making at this level is probably best done with simple strategies that all the kids understand. You could think of it as like rules in a game. Most of our decisions we're going to make with majority rule. And then if there's a tie, we're going to have a runoff between the 2 tied ideas for the most votes. And then if there's still a tie, we'll just pull a name from a hat. Establishing this culture early helps kids avoid conflict because like with the rules of a game, they generally accept it if everyone knows ahead of time. Dispute resolution is an important element in any team dynamic. So it's important to establish a culture for the students on how to negotiate with one another. So first off, you might want to remind them, use your words. And then second, to communicate the problem clearly to the person you're having a problem with. Many times kids don't know how to directly confront one another. This becomes very important as the kids get older, because oftentimes kids that are bossy kind of direct people around, and the kids that are a little more passive haven't developed the skills they need to stand up for themselves, which is why starting young is really important. It's also important to make sure the students understand that they need to listen when they are responding to a partner that has a problem. They should attempt to resolve the problem between themselves, and if they're unable to solve their problem between themselves, say for example as a working group, then they should go to the team first. And if that still doesn't work, then they can go to their coach or their mentor. And at that point, it's really helpful to use language that the kids would use professionally when they're older and more mature. Something such along the lines of binding arbitration, so that they can say, if you go to a teacher, you don't get to decide the outcome. The teacher does. And if they know that, that gives them an investment in trying to solve the problem while they still have control over it. Because when it gets to the teacher level, if they go to binding arbitration, they just have to accept the answer. So, we reviewed a little bit about how leadership works at the junior FLL level. It's very important for the students to work on developing their medium and short-term plans. Their plans should be written down so that they can see how they change. They should be specific so that the students can check them off as they move through a session. When they're making decisions, one of the best things they can do is use a protocol such as majority, runoff, hat. If they have a dispute with one another, it's important to establish the protocols out of the gate to try to get them solve it at the smallest level possible with direct communication between two teammates, and to use professional language to help them understand the concepts of things like binding arbitration that teaches them that if you can't solve it on your own, someone else will solve it for you, but you won't have as much control over the outcome. So, leadership is a huge opportunity that first gives to teachers and to students to develop students in ways that, frankly, isn't typically available to most kids.